We're now shifting our focus to the Insurgency Funds debate, and that's precisely that $1 billion that's been okayed by the governors to get out of the government and have that to fight insurgency in the northeast. And now we're being joined by Olusegun Ajano, is a retired Brigadier General. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on Sunrise Daily. But just before we move into this discussion, let's quick a listen at what the Vice President and the Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki's submissions were.
Pleased with the achievements that have been made to date in the fight against insurgency, particularly in the northeast. The governors of Nigeria, through their chairman, announced at the NEC meeting that the governors have given permission to the federal government to spend the sum of $1 billion in the fight of insurgency. We expect that the amounts will include but not be limited to purchase of equipment, procuring intelligence, logistics, and all what is required.
Barely 2 months ago, NEC hosted a security summit. The security summit was crucial in understanding and dimensioning the security problems of the country and the weaknesses of our security architecture. The summit examined issues of kidnapping, small arms trafficking, terrorist activities of Boko Haram in the northeast. We considered the problems of herdsmen and farmer clashes, cattle rustling, etc. Several initiatives were approved, and one of the things I think that bears mentioning is that it was on account of the security summit that the governors at the governors forum subsequently decided that they would vote a certain sum of money, which has become somewhat controversial, the $1 billion, to assist the security architecture of the country. Now, it was to assist all of the issues, including policing in the states, community policing, all of the different security challenges that we had.
The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, of course, speaking about this very contentious issue of the release of $1 billion. But do you think that the security situations we face in the country has necessitated a release of $1 billion from the ECA?
To start with, I would say yes, in the sense that insurgency is not something you fight like a finite battle. It encompasses a lot of things. And as the Vice President pointed out, there are the aspects of other security issues which are not directly related, or can we say not related? They are, for as long as they are security issues. Cattle rustling, kidnapping, this and that. We've had quite a lot of security issues in the country. And possibly because of the fact that far too many of these things keep happening, or probably happen in greater frequency, because they have not been frontally addressed. The governors might have felt it is a general thing over the country. That was why they voted the amount of money to assist the federal government in addressing not only Boko Haram, but all other areas of security that tend to affect the country generally. So, left to me, when I look at the issue of Boko Haram, I know that a lot of expenditure going in there. And let's be specific. Flying air sorties, Marshal Abubakar, Air Marshal Abubakar hinted at this, I think about a month or two ago, when I listened to him on the television, in terms of what they were doing to gather intelligence, to assist the ground forces in moving in on the Boko Haram insurgents. And each sortie costs a lot of money. It is not possible for you to estimate, say like you make a budget for what you are going to do in a particular year. You are not likely to be able to envisage what you are likely to spend when such needs arise. And that was what he was actually alluding to. And I believe that that is just one aspect of the Boko Haram exercise. On the army side, each time a tank moves out, and it has to swivel on this something there and face a direction to churn out shots. Each shot that goes out, my goodness, is well over 2.5 pounds sterling. Now when you convert that to naira, you see what I mean. And when an operator of a tank presses the button like that to sort of churn out shots like that, it is not for fun. It is to have an effect and to sort of get the insurgents either to run, or if they wait and the thing catches them, they are scattered. Because that is the issue. So it is an expensive thing to fight a war.
While your submission is substantially valid, people will still argue that perhaps the $1 billion is such a huge sum, because if, for instance, to prosecute the war against the Taliban in Afghanistan was done with just under $500,000, $500 million, then one would have thought that for Boko Haram that's largely degraded, you wouldn't be needing that callous amount of money.
You see, you're talking of the amount of money like it is something you're going to use to buy specific things. I want us to look at it more dispassionately. The issue is not, yes, we want to buy 500 rifles. We want to buy 10 tanks. We want to buy this and that. No. It is much more fluid than that. Yes, damaged equipment will have to be replaced. Weapons, ammunition have to be replaced. And when the Air Force goes into the air and they move around to gather information, to gather intelligence, it has to be funded. It's a whole gamut of things. I have not heard anything from the Chief of Army Staff, at least publicly. He's not likely to speak publicly because normally the Army doesn't talk. It is when they get orders, they move. And when they move, you have to have all that it requires to be able to fight. In fact, we have had the unfortunate experience in the past when soldiers were detailed to go and fight this Boko Haram thing, and they ran. Why? I remember I was interviewed here at that time, sometimes, was it 2015? And I said, something must have gone wrong because I've never had it. The soldiers are deployed to face combat somewhere and they have to take to their heels. No, it doesn't happen. I said, something must be wrong with the training, something must be wrong with this, something must be wrong with that. We only came to know the truth when the present regime came in. Money was voted, 2.1 billion was voted. It was shared to see marabouts, to do publicity, to do that, towards campaign. I mean, honestly, I can understand the feelings of a number of Nigerians who came out criticizing that, that you said Boko Haram had been degraded. Why do you need 1 billion to fight it? No, but General, I disagree. Under this regime, I don't think anything like that has happened.
If I may come in here, General,
yes.
You just said here that 2.1 billion was voted for and was frittered away to different things. Now, you also said here that this $1 billion is not for anything specific. Nothing has been said, this is what's going to be used for. Is there another opportunity for the money to just be shared?
You see, I am not in government. I was only quoting what the Vice President, who is the number 2 man of the country, said. They are more likely to be in the knowledge of what exactly is required, what the Army requires, what the Air Force requires, maybe what the Navy requires, because
General, we had
they are there. They haven't told the public that.
But
I'm only going by what they say.
Wouldn't it be good to have some level of openness and accountability? We had a retired military officer here who also talked about the issue of accountability.
Yes.
Would it be possible to get some level of accountability as regards where the monies are going? Because many will say, if Boko Haram has been largely degraded, then you should be spending less money instead of spending so much.
Yes, I agree with you. We should be spending less money. But what amount of money are we expected to spend? Because in fighting insurgency, it is not a straightforward thing. I am saying, and with all seriousness, that the various service chiefs would have given the list of what is required from their various arms in the force. They would have done that. It might not amount to $1 billion. It might be 100 or a few millions here and there. But that notwithstanding, in fighting insurgency, it is not the hard fight alone that we are fighting.
Do you believe this?
It is going to be, in fact, more expensive to win the peace.
Do you believe there's a blueprint to win this peace that you're talking about?
Say again.
Do you believe there's a blueprint to win the peace you're referring to?
Yes.
There is?
There is.
How has it worked to this time? If there is a blueprint to ensure that Boko Haram and all these terrorist activities in the country are nipped in the bud?
I wouldn't say there's a blueprint. I've not seen one.